Hello, Kako. How are you folks doing? My name is Armando. In this video, I'm going to be talking about Kauai's unconquered king, Kaumuali'i. And he was the only one that Kamehameha did not defeat in battle. So let's talk about it. It's a very interesting story. And Kauai is also known as the Garden Isle, and it's is the oldest of the Hawaiian Islands. It's approximately 5 million years old. And Kauai's last independent king, Ali'i Nui, Kaumuali'i, was born in 1780 at the birthstones of the Holo Ku He'au above the banks of the Wailua River on Kauai's eastern shore. Now, his mother was Kauai's distinguished ruling chiefess, Kamehameha. His father, known as Ka'il, brother of Maui Ali'i Kahekili, was a tall and very strong man, and is known as a particularly formidable warrior. Kamehameha was an Ali'i Nui, a queen of the island of the Kauai, and she was a ruling chiefess of Kauai about 24 years, from 1770 to 1794. And in some historical references, she has been described as a regent for her sons Keawe and Kaumuali'i, so two sons she had. She was a sovereign of the island of Kauai at the time Captain James Cook landed on its shores. And that was the first contact, Western contact at that time when Captain Cook came on Kauai. And there's a middle school. It's called the Chiefess Kamehameha Middle School. It's in the district of Puhi. It's named after her. And this school serves the Kalaheo and Hanamaula Bulu districts on the island of Kauai. Okay? Now, Ka'eo and Kamehameha were the Ali'i who ventured forth in a double-hulled canoe to make first contact with English Captain James Cook. And Anish men on the ships Resolution and Discovery anchored offshore at Waimea on January 19th of 1778. So that's the first documented Western contact at that time. It was a Hawaiian custom. Now let's talk about her sons, her two sons. Her first son was Hanai, and to explain that, Hanai means to adopt. My mother was Hanai, and she was adopted by her real mother's cousin, Annie Lloyd, and so Hanai means to adopt. It's very common in Hawaiian custom. It's a Hawaiian custom, and it's a custom of the Hawaii Ali'i to have those of their children who were intended future rulers to be adopted by other relatives to raise through their dependent childhood. In this way, Kamehameha's son with Kaneoneo, that's her first husband, and his name was Keawe, who was born about 1777, was given in a Hanai arrangement to the family of Wailua District Senior Chieftain Inamo'o. Okay, so that's the older son. The younger son, Kaumuali'i, and this is from husband Ka'il, was not adopted all to others. He was instead raised in the Wailua household of his mother, and she was the primary influence in his young life, since his father, Ka'il, was often away on military campaigns on the other islands. Okay? It was then Kamehameha who personally taught him to chant his very long mele inoa, or song of identity, evidencing his personal genealogical connection to the Hawaiian gods and thus his powerful mana. Memorizing and reciting such long chants with the required exactitude was very difficult and took most of the ruling Ali'i years of their childhood to accomplish. But young Kaumuali'i took joy in the task of learning and mastered his chant in such a short time that his parents, kahuna, priests, were positively impressed and came to respect his memory and quick mind. Okay? Now these priests explained to Kaumuali'i the need to respect and enforce the Hawaiian system of kapu. Kapu means to forbid what was forbidden, and sacrifice which pleased the gods, so that they would protect the people of Kauai from natural disasters and from subjugation by other peoples. And as a result of this instruction, Kaumuali'i became quite religious even as a youth and spent much time in prayer, seeking advice from the gods. Okay? Now in his youth, Kaumuali'i learned to fish with hooks and spears and nets. He learned to manage fish in man-made ponds. He learned to plant and harvest taro in irrigated plots called lo'i. He learned how clothing and canoes, va'a, were made. Okay, so he learned quite a bit. He grew up to be tall and strong like his father. And in his teens, he established himself as one of Kauai's foremost aquatic athletes. He could stay underwater longer, swim faster, surf the waves more ably than anyone else. He could paddle canoes more strongly than others of his cohort for many hours without resting. And he made spirit leaps into the water from all of Kauai's prominent heights to prove his mana. He became proficient in the use of weapons, wooden daggers and spears, shark-tooth clubs, and in his early childhood, Western metal swords, firearms, and cannon. Okay, so he learned all of that as he was growing up. Now, Kaumuali'i, as a young man, was always curious. He always asked questions of his elders, of the foreigners, like English Captain George Vancouver, who he first met in 1792. And he applied himself especially enthusiastically to the study of Vancouver's foreign language, which was English. In time, his skill in English became immensely valuable to him as he used it to communicate with diverse English and American seamen, traders, and later missionaries. Okay, there were several people that helped him in that regard, and helping him in his effort from an early age were three sailors. They were named Rowbottom, John Williams, and James Coleman, who were left behind on Kauai to collect sandalwood by American Captain John Kendrick of the Lady Washington in 1793. These three gave Kaumuali'i much of his first English language instruction, albeit of a very rough, often profane quality. Okay, so that's how he learned a lot of the English. Now his son, Kaumuali'i's son, was one of the 4 native missionaries who returned in May of 1820. Now remember, I think there was like 4 of them who went to New England, and they studied in New England, and they wanted to come back and teach the Hawaiians. So, and there was a person you may recall this person named Henry Opukahahia, who died 1780 to 1818, died before returning to Hawaii. And he was being groomed along with 4 of the Hawaiians to be the first native missionaries to serve in their own country. Opukahahia sailed in 1809 to New England as an orphan of the Kamehameha Wars. And my understanding is that he swam to the ship of one of the, and then they took him all over with them, and then they finally ended up in England. But he died. He never made it back. But Kaumuali'i's son, Humehumi, made it back. Kamehameha and his warriors. Now this is talking about the actual battle. And Kamehameha is trying to conquer Kauai. Now Kamehameha and his warriors tried to conquer Kauai twice, but were unsuccessful. Okay, so 2 times. Now On Kamehameha's first attempt, his warriors encountered stormy weather and many of their canoes capsized. And on Kamehameha's second attempt to conquer Kauai, his warriors were struck by disease, and that was no fault of his own, but cholera, and so the invasion was called off. Now in 1810, Kaumuali'i negotiated a peaceful end to his power with Kamehameha I of Hawaii in an effort to avoid bloodshed. It was like 100 to 1, and he knew it, and Kaumuali'i wanted peace, and he knew if he didn't negotiate a peaceful settlement, a lot of warriors, a lot of his people would have died. So the agreement allowed Kaumuali'i to remain a li'inui until his death, which was a good thing, when all lands would revert to Kamehameha's heir. After Kamehameha I's death, King Kamehameha II renegotiated the same deal and took no lands. Now Kamehameha II, when he took over after his father's death, he was a young boy. And really the one with the power at that time was Kaumauna, the favorite wife of King Kamehameha I. Now this outraged Kaumauna, who came to the island after Kamehameha II had left, and kidnapped Kaumuali'i, taking him to Honolulu in 1821. So she kidnapped him. Now, remember Isaac Davis, one of the advisors of, Kamehameha, taught his warriors how to use cannons and muskets and that type of thing. Well, talking about Davis, he was known among the Hawaiians as Aikaka. Davis married twice. His blood survives to this day. The Davis family is reportedly the oldest foreign family in the Hawaiian Islands. Now his daughter, Betty, married Hume, George Prince Kaumuali'i, the son of King Kaumuali'i of Kauai. So his daughter married him, the son of King Kaumuali'i. Now, at that time, there was peace negotiations at Pakaka, Honolulu Harbor in 1810. It was agreed that Kauai would join with the rest of the archipelago, but that Kaumuali'i would continue to rule that island while acknowledging Kamehameha as his sovereign. Reportedly, Isaac Davis assisted in negotiations on the behalf of Kamehameha. Okay? Now, the thing about it was, several of the chiefs, and talking about Kamehameha's chiefs, opposed this agreement and wished that Kaumuali'i be put to death. They wanted him killed and plotted a secret plan to poison him. So they wanted to poison him. Isaac Davis learned of the plot and warned Kaumuali'i. Remember, his daughter married the son, right? So then Kaumuali'i fled back to Kauai. He got out of there as quickly as he could. And then Isaac Davis suddenly died in April of 1810. Apparently, the poison that was intended for Kaumuali'i was given to Davis. And when Isaac Davis died, it was a shock to Kamehameha and a dark day in the life of the king. Okay? Despite the many peaceful overtures of Kaumuali'i and his queen, Deborah Kapuli, political intrigue continued, and after Kaumuali'i made good his promise to peacefully submit to Liholiho following Kamehameha I's death in 1819, he was kidnapped in 1821 by the young king aboard Ha'aheo, o Hawaii. They also call it the Cleopatra's Barge, the royal yacht of Hawaii. Okay? Now, Kaumuali'i accepted his fate, and this is what he told King Liholiho. When your father was alive, I acknowledged him my superior. Since his death, I have considered you as his rightful successor, and according to his appointment as king. Now I have plenty of muskets and powder, and a plenty of men at command. These with the vessels I have bought, the fort, the guns, and the island, all are yours. Do with them as you please. Send me where you please. Place what chief you please as governor. Now Liho fulfilled Kaumuali'i's dreaded wish. He was forced to leave Deborah Kapule and to marry Kaumanu, one of Kaumanu's wives. Now, initially the Kauai king was kept in virtual house arrest on Oahu, where Oahuali'is began to divide up the lands of Kauai. Kaumuali'i quickly grew accustomed to court life in Honolulu and became a fervent Christian and student of the missionaries. And I think a lot of it had to because his son was, studied Christianity and probably had a lot of influence in that. In spring of 1822, Kaumuali'i and Kahumanu, with an entourage of ali'i and servants, toured the Windward Island on a religious crusade of sorts. Now in August of 1822, Kaumuali'i and Kaumanu, with a party of chiefs and servants and followers numbering nearly 1,200 persons, sailed for Kauai and Ni'ihau aboard 4 ships, including Ha'eheo o Hawaii. Kahumanu collected ho'okupu offerings from the people and sought a cargo of valuable sandalwood. The Tahitian teachers Una and Una Wahine joined them. Okay. Now, after his death in 1824, his son George Kaumuali'i took back his birth name Humehume and attempted to re-establish an independence on Kauai. But he was eventually captured and taken to Honolulu. Well, folks, that's the story of Kaumuali'i, the only king that Kamehameha did not defeat in battle. Like I said, he sought peace and to prevent bloodshed. And just like Liliuokalani, who stepped down from the throne to prevent bloodshed of her people. Same thing. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this story of him. Mahalo for watching, and ahui ho.